All right, everybody, I'd like to go ahead and get started with today's session. I'd like to start by welcoming everybody to the NinjaTrader webinar room and to today's event, Forex 101, where we're going to talk about trading Forex in NinjaTrader. First thing, I'd like to go ahead and test to make sure the picture and sound are working properly. So if you can hear my voice and see the slide in the webinar room, please enter a Y into the chat box now. All right, thank you very much. Sounds like I'm coming in loud and clear. Before we get started, I'd like to note it is important to understand that there are substantial risks involved in trading commodity futures contracts. You should therefore carefully consider whether such trading is suitable for you, and this will depend on your specific circumstances and financial resources. It is possible to lose all the funds deposited with your broker. You could even incur losses beyond these amounts. Please send an email over to brokeragesupport@ninjatrader.com for more information or for a copy of the CFTC full risk disclosure. Also, please remember that these training webinars are neither a solicitation nor recommendation, but are simply educational in nature. We have a full staff of highly knowledgeable brokers available at brokeragesupport@ninjatrader.com. I'm going to go ahead and paste that email address into the room. And these guys are on hand around the clock to answer any questions you may have about funding a brokerage account, legalities, risks, anything like that. If you'd like to reach us on the platform support side for any questions related to platform technical issues, feel free to send an email over to platformsupport@ninjatrader.com. I've pasted a link into the room there. And lastly, I'm going to put a banner into the room for just a few moments with a few other useful links. So you should see that in the bottom of the screen now. Okay, so let's go over what we're going to talk about today. Obviously, we're talking about trading Forex in the NinjaTrader platform, but we're going to break it down into three main sections. The first thing we're going to do is go over some basic Forex terminology just to make sure that we're all on the same page. So in these events, we're often joined by a wide range of traders, whether they be experienced futures traders who are looking to expand into a new asset class, or maybe experienced Forex traders who are considering NinjaTrader and have been using a different platform, or maybe even just pure novices who are just diving into the different markets and just want to get as much information as they can. So to make sure we're all on the same page, we're going to start by going over these basic Forex terms that you'll hear me using throughout the presentation. So some terms may have different meanings in different markets. Some terms you may be completely familiar with or you may not have heard before. So we'll just go over that first. Then we'll spend the majority of our time today talking about the FX Pro window. The FX Pro window is one of the many order entry windows available in the NinjaTrader platform, and it's one that was designed specifically with Forex traders in mind. So every decision we made in designing the FX Pro window centered around the Forex trader's daily routine and making life as easy as possible for the Forex trader. After that, we'll transition to our third section where we're going to talk about a couple of the nuances of trading Forex specifically. So this is useful for everybody, especially you guys who may be accustomed to trading futures or options or stocks on the NinjaTrader platform. We'll go over some of the things that you need to know that may be a little different than what you're accustomed to when you make the switch to Forex. So we'll wrap up on that note, and then I will leave the room open for questions for just a few minutes afterward. All right, that being out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into the first segment here and talk about some basic Forex terminology. So the first term that I'd like to define is the word pip. A pip is similar to a tick in futures trading, or I suppose you could say similar to a cent in stock trading. It's simply the standard unit of movement in price quotes when we're looking at Forex pairs. So it's the minimum amount that a trade can go up or down. That being said, some data providers do offer support for half pip and tenth pip quotes. Many do not, some do, and we'll talk a little bit later in the event here about how to set up the platform to receive and display those half pip or tenth pip quotes if you know that you're getting that kind of quote from your data provider. The second term here is the word spread. So spread means different things in different contexts. In the world of stocks, for example, I often hear the word spread used to mean the difference between the price of an index and the price of an individual stock that's in that index. When we're talking Forex, The term spread specifically refers to the difference between the bid and the ask for the pair that we're looking at. So in Forex, one of the things about Forex um, it's kind of a double-edged sword, is that it's completely decentralized. There is not a centralized market controlling price information like the CME or the NYSE or the NASDAQ. So you don't really have this concept of a last traded price or a quote-unquote current price. Instead, what you always have a bid and you always have an ask. All of your buy orders are going to be filled at the ask, and all of your sell orders are going to be filled at the bid. So the difference between the two, which you have to overcome on every trade in order to reach profitability, is referred to as the spread. Okay, so the next term here is lot. One standard lot is simply the standard quantity that's traded in Forex. So in Forex, keep in mind, we're trading bundles of currency, one bundle of currency for a bundle of another currency. So we have to do it in specific increments. So the standard position size or the standard quantity is 100,000 units of currency. That's referred to as a lot. Now, if you wanted to trade less than that, you could trade what's called a mini lot, which consists of 10,000 units of currency, or you could trade what's called a micro lot, which consists of 1,000 units. And you can do any combination of the two. Like, for example, you could do 2.5 mini lots, which would be, what, 20,500 or 25,000, I believe, something like that, or 30,000. Or you could do, 3 standard lots, which would be 300,000. Okay, so the last term here is a cross. A Forex cross refers to any pair that does not involve the US dollar. So any non-USD denominated pair, such as the euro pound, for example. Euro pound doesn't involve the dollar, so it's a cross. Or the pound yen. There are many examples of crosses. We're going to talk about, when we talk about the nuances of trading Forex, we're going to talk about a specific nuance of something that needs to be done to trade crosses reliably in NinjaTrader, specifically to receive your profit and loss figures in terms of your account currency of USD. So put that on the shelf for now. We'll come back to that for later. But this pretty much does it for our basic terminology, so we should all pretty much be on the same page for some of these terms that I'll be using throughout the session. All right, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. If you can't see my screen, please let me know, and I'll refresh the monitor. Okay, so this is going to be an interactive webinar. Not only do we encourage questions, but I also have a few quizzes for you guys as well. These quizzes are to just check the pulse of the room, make sure we're all on the same page, and most importantly, to make sure that we're doing a good job of disseminating this information accurately. But I'm going to actually throw a pop quiz at you guys just to gauge everybody's level of knowledge right off the bat about the FX Pro window. So bear with me just 1 second here, and I'm going to throw this quiz into the room. All right, here we go. So the question this time is this: true or false? You cannot trade Forex instruments on charts or in the Superdome in NinjaTrader. You can only trade them in the FX Pro window. So we haven't gone over it yet, but let me know what you think about that. Just want to gauge everybody's prior knowledge here. Go ahead and take a moment and let me know what you think about this question. All right, guys, thank you very much. Looks like we're split right down the middle. It looks like half of the room is saying true. Cannot trade Forex on charts or in the Superdome. You can only trade them in the FX Pro. And half of the room says, no way, Jose. You can trade them anywhere you want. So this is kind of a trick question. The answer is false. You can trade Forex in other windows in NinjaTrader. You can trade it on charts. You can trade it on the Dome. The orders tab of the control center you can do. The basic entry window I believe you can do. Or no, basic entries futures only. But you can trade Forex instruments in a wide range of windows in NinjaTrader. The thing about the FX Pro window, 2 things to note. One, FX Pro was designed specifically for you FX traders. And 2, Forex is the only thing that you can trade in the FX Pro window. So you couldn't trade stocks or futures in the FX Pro window, for example. Okay, thank you guys very much for that. First thing I'm going to do here is get us connected to Kinetic. Looks like I'm already connected, but just so that you guys know, I connected by clicking File, connect, and then I clicked on this kinetic connection that I've built. If you've just downloaded NinjaTrader and you're following along with the presentation, you'll see this kinetic end of day free connection. That is a free connection provided by Kinetic. The limitation with this is it's going to update once per day and it's going to only have daily data. So if you connect to that to follow along, you won't be seeing the live updates that you see me getting in my platform. But if you'd like to take a look at possibly subscribing to live kinetic data, which you'll see today in the presentation, feel free to send us an email to platform support, and we can put you in touch with a Kinetic sales rep. All right, so let's get started by opening up an FX Pro window. So to do that, here in my control center, I'm just going to click File, New, FX Pro. The new window here is where we can open all kinds of things like charts and domes, etc. So I click New FX Pro, and here is our FX Pro window. Now it's blank right now because we haven't populated it with an instrument. So the first thing I'm going to do is pull up a Forex instrument. I'll do that by using the instrument drop-down list here. And the instrument drop-down list is showing me all of the Forex pairs that I currently have in my default instrument list. So you can obviously trade a lot more pairs than what you're seeing here. This is just what I personally have in my list, my quick list, what we call the default instrument list. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the dollar yen. Before we really dive in, I'd like to take one more quick detour. For those of you who are following along, if you pulled down this drop-down and you found that it was blank, that just simply means you don't have any Forex pairs in your default instrument list just yet. So let me just take a quick 2-minute detour and show you guys how to populate that, just in case you're following along at home. So what we'll do, we need to open the Instrument Manager. So back in the Control Center, we'll click Tools, and then Instrument Manager. In the Instrument Manager, we can manage our instrument lists in the left side here. It's defined by this drop-down menu here. So if I'd like to add an instrument to my default list, the first thing I'll do is find it over here. So let's do a quick search for things with the name USD. Dollar Canadian, this is a good candidate. I don't have that in my list. So if I wanted to add it to my list, I could just select it here and then click the left arrow button, and it's going to add it to my list. And now you can see we've got it here. In the same way, if you'd like to clean up your list a bit, you can remove instruments by selecting them in the list, then clicking the right arrow button. That's directly beneath the left arrow. So at least now you guys who are following along, you can throw some Forex instruments on your list real quick so you can watch the FX Pro window update. Okay, so we've got our quote in. I'd like to first draw your attention to the big numbers right in the middle, kind of the bottom center of the window. The number on the left here is our current bid. The number on the right is our current ask. So you can see we've got our handle here in the small text and our pip value in the large blue text. So we currently have a bid of 122.51, an ask of 122.53, which gives us a spread of 2 pips. And you can see the spread right here to the left of the little field that says flat. We see a number 2 there. That's going to tell you the current spread at any given moment. That's one of those features that I was referring to when I said that the FX Pro window was designed for Forex traders specifically. Because as a Forex trader, you've always got to keep that spread in mind. You always have to be looking back at the spread. Maybe not so much for longer term traders, but most definitely for day traders and scalpers. So that's a really cool feature there. Also, this little red arrow, this shows you the direction of the last incoming tick. So what we can see so far, we see our bid price, our ask price, we see our current spread, and we can see the last tick was a down move. So this guy, the price action is currently going down tick by tick. Okay, lastly, directly underneath the prices, you can see 2 times here it says 0.1 M. These 2 numbers represent the volume. Now, volume is kind of different with Forex. There's some nuances involved based on the data providers that you're using. Most data providers will not provide volume data. It's a long story, but it has to do with the decentralized nature of the market and the fact that data is not coming from a single source like it does with a centralized market. So when you do have volume, you're not really looking at the entire market. For that reason, a lot of data providers just skip it. But here's the thing about that. NinjaTrader needs volume in order to do what it does with calculating its values and displaying things. So when it does not receive volume data, it simulates it. It creates fake volume data that's kind of the same level per tick. So that's what we're looking at here. We're seeing 0.1 M, which is shorthand for 100,000. This shorthand essentially means 0.1 of a million, or 10% of a million, which is 100,000. So what NinjaTrader is doing here is it's simulating one lot of volume per tick. So just keep that in mind. You can also see that down here in the control center underneath the bid, ask, and last prices. I know I said Forex doesn't have a last price, but you'll notice that the last price in Forex is identical to the bid. So that's just something where the bid is just being assigned to that variable when you're looking at Forex quotes. Just a little trivia for you. Okay, so now let's talk about the fields directly above, where it says flat P&L and entry. I'm going to need to enter a trade to populate these with real data, so let's go ahead and do that. Switch my order type selector to market, click the buy button. All right, now we are in a long position. Now that we're in a position, these fields have populated. So the first field over here on the left is currently green. It says 0.1 M. This is going to be the position size and the direction of our trade. So we're currently long, that's why it's in green. If we were short, it would be colored red. And we're currently long one lot. So we're seeing that 0.1 M shorthand in there one more time. And again, that represents 100,000, which is the quantity of a standard lot. The next field directly beside it, this is our unrealized P&L for our open position. So right now you can see we're currently down 3 pips, which is identical to the spread, which is what we would expect. Now I can left click in this field to change this quote to show the currency value of my unrealized P&L, or I can left click once more to see the P&L in percentage terms. So you can see here we're currently down 3 pips. Another way to say that is we're down $24.49, or another way to say that is we've lost 2% on our trade. And finally, the field to the right displays the average entry price of our position. So now just looking at this at a glance, all the information we have here, here's our current bid, our current ask. We see the spread, the direction of price action. We know what our position is. We know our unrealized profit and loss on our position, and we know the average entry price of the position. So all that critical information is right there in that little area. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close out this order by clicking the close button. Just give you a quick Cliff Notes version of the order action buttons we see here. The buy and sell buttons will place a buy or sell order based on the order type you have selected in the order type dropdown. So if I select limit and click sell, that's a sell limit. If I click stop limit and click buy, that's a buy stop limit. The bid and offer buttons will place a limit order at the bid or the ask. The BE button, this stands for break even. This will move your stop loss to break even if you have one on the trade. Really good feature for scalpers and just very kind of quick traders, high frequency traders, if you will. And then the close button, pretty self-explanatory. It'll close out any open positions or anything that's going on, including any bracket orders that are attached via ATM strategy or something like that. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about these two price selector fields where it says limit price and stop price. One or both or neither of these will be active based on the order type you have selected. So if I select market, I can't do anything with either of these. If I select stop market, I can do something with the stop field but not the limit field, and etc. Let's go ahead and change this to limit. One really great thing about these fields is you can middle click in this field, click down on your scroll wheel, it will populate the last traded bid. So I just middle click there, and then I can use my scroll wheel to go up or down to change the limit price before I place the order. So let's place a buy limit. You have to set it below the market. Let's set it somewhere around, say 10 pips below the market, 122.4. I have limit selected, my limit price entered, my quantity is one standard lot, and I'll click buy. And now you can see the order, the resting order, listed at the top of the window here. Just to illustrate this further, let me go ahead and open up a chart. And we'll be able to see those orders a little more visually. Okay, So here we can see the buy limit order that we placed in the FX Pro window. And we can move it around manually in the chart as well, even though it was placed in a different window. So that's pretty cool. If I'd like to just keep it all in the FX Pro window though, and just modify the placement of that order before it gets filled, I can use the increase and decrease buttons here at the top of the window. So if I click the plus or minus, it's going to go up and down by 1 pip. If I hold the control key and click, it's going to go up and down by 5 pips. And then if I hold the Alt key and click, it's going to go up and down by 10 pips. So just a little something to give you a little bit more flexibility and make the order modification process a bit more responsive in real time for you guys. All right, so let's go ahead and close out. Let's cancel this pending order by clicking the X in the FX Pro window. And the last thing that I want to touch on in the FX Pro window is the ATM strategy section. So I'm not going to go too deep into ATM strategies today because we have an entire event dedicated just to ATM strategies. And as a matter of fact, this is probably a good time to pause and share some links with you. I highly recommend, if you haven't taken a look at ATM strategies, I highly recommend joining me for the next 2 days, Tuesday and Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, I believe, or 5:30 p.m. Eastern, where we're going to be going over the ATM 201 and 301 events. You can see the official schedule here in the link that I've just pasted in the room. We'll talk about the basic functionality and all the advanced functionality of ATM strategies as well. They're really great if you guys haven't seen them before. If you guys cannot join me, I highly recommend you take a look at the pre-recorded versions, which you can see at the link that I've pasted in the room here to our YouTube channel. What I really wanted to touch on with ATMs in the FX Pro window is just the fact that you can use them, that the functionality is there. So for any of you guys who are experienced using NinjaTrader, if you have your ATMs set up and you've been using them for futures or another asset class, just be aware that you can use those same ATM strategies within the FX Pro window to manage your trades quickly and efficiently. All right, let's see. Do we have another quiz yet? Not quite yet. Okay. So I'd like to now just transition and talk about some of the nuances with trading Forex specifically in NinjaTrader and how it's different than, say, trading stocks in NinjaTrader or trading futures. The first thing I want to talk about is that half pip and 10th pip setting that I was referring to a little earlier. If you know that your data provider supports half pip or 10th pip quotes and you'd like to receive them and show them in NinjaTrader, as you can see right now by default we're ending on the pip value here, which for $yen is the second decimal place. But if you'd like to change that, we can do that in the options window. We'll go back to the control center, click tools, and then options. And then in the options window we'll go to the data tab. It's broken into 4 quadrants here. The bottom right quadrant says quote currencies in. Mine is currently set to pip. Here's where you can change that to half pip or 10th pip. Keep in mind that's going to depend on, firstly, whether your data provider supports that type of quote. And then just a brief note for ATM strategies as well. If you have ATM strategies set up already based on tick values and you change to half pip or 10th pip settings, you'll need to go back in and adjust the ATM strategy parameters. For example, if you have a 2 pip stop loss and you change to half pip quotes, you'll have to change that to a 4. Essentially what you're saying is 4 half pips to get that 2 pips. Or if you change it to 10th pip, you'd have to change that to 20 because you're essentially saying 20 10th pips or 2 pips. So keep that in mind. All right, let's talk a little bit now about lot sizes and the way they work. So you'll notice a theme here in the things we've been talking about, and that is that a lot of things depend upon your data provider or your brokerage. So some brokerages, FXCM is one of these. So if you're trading with NinjaTrader brokerage through FXCM, then this will apply to you. In the live accounts for FXCM, they allow you to set a default lot size in your actual brokerage account. So that way you could just enter, say, a 1 for the quantity, and that would equal one lot. Or maybe that one would equal one mini lot or one micro lot, however it's set up in your account. That being said, other data providers and the FXCM demos apply to this as well. So FXCM Live, you can set up your default lot size. FXCM demos and others like Kinetic, they require you to enter a literal notation for the quantity that you want to trade. So that means, for example, if I'm here connected to Kinetic and I'm sim trading, if I want to trade one lot, I have to actually enter 100,000 as my quantity. This is what the shorthand notation is good for. So rather than entering 100,000, I can just do 0.1 M or just 0.1 M. And that's going to tell the platform I'm looking for the quantity of 100,000. Similarly, for a micro lot, instead of typing in 10,000, you can just do 0.01 M. You know, and again, keep in mind, you can do different intervals as well. So like, for example, 1.5 standard lots, you could do 0.15 M or 150,000, you know, which is essentially one standard lot and then 5 minis on top of it. So just a quick shorthand for you to manage your quantities here. Keep in mind, this generally does apply to demos and things like Kinetic that's not really hooked into a brokerage account. But again, if you're trading with FXCM, you're going to need to know what the default lot size is in your actual brokerage account. Okay, so let's talk a little bit now about symbol notation. This is a quick one, but it's important to know. If you've been trading Forex in other platforms, you may be accustomed to seeing symbol notation like this. Let's say I want to look at the euro dollar. I'll type in EUR/USD, right? I'll press enter. And now I've got an error, invalid instrument name. That's because the symbol notations work a little bit differently in NinjaTrader. So in NinjaTrader, we preface all of our Forex symbols with the $sign. Then we enter the symbol without the slash in the middle. So if I'd like to look at euro dollar, I'll enter the $sign and then EURUSD, no slash. Now when I press enter, we've successfully changed to this really nice looking high trending chart. We missed the trend on, but that's okay. Okay, so if I want to go back now to dollar yen, just $USD JPY. Now there's also a trick here. When you're changing instruments on the chart and a few other places such as Market Analyzer, you don't even really need the $sign. So the $sign applies everywhere, but in certain places you don't even need that. Charts are one of them. If you're changing the data series the way that I am here by just typing into the chart, I could just type in EURUSD, no slashes, no $sign, press enter, and then we'll switch over. The same applies to the Market Analyzer. I'm going to be showing you guys a little bit of the Market Analyzer in just a few minutes when we talk about trading crosses. So hold on just a moment for that, and I'll show you how this applies in there as well. Okay, so I've been going over a lot, kind of at a rapid-fire pace. So I'm going to just slow down and throw another quiz into the room, just to make sure I'm covering everything properly and we're all on the same page. This quiz is going to be about the symbol notation that we just talked about. Okay, question this time is this, multiple choice. What is the proper symbol notation for pulling up the $yen instrument in NinjaTrader? So go ahead and take just a moment here and let me know what you think about this one. Okay, so pretty much everybody is saying number 2 here, $USD JPY. We've got one person that says USD/JPY. So for this one, number 2 is the correct answer here. $USD JPY is how we handle the symbol notation in NinjaTrader, which differs from number 1, which you may be accustomed to when reading quotes and things like that in the market media and stuff like that. All right, thank you guys very much for that. I'll have one more quiz here in just a moment. So now I'd like to talk about what is possibly the most complex thing that we'll talk about today. It really doesn't have to be. It's one of those things that may seem complicated at first, but it's actually kind of simple once you break it down. So I want to talk about obtaining the proper unrealized profit and loss when you're trading a Forex cross. Now I'm assuming all of our account currencies are in US dollar. So when we look at our profit and loss, we want to see that in US dollars. If our account's in US dollars, it doesn't matter how many yuans we've won or lost, right? It matters how many US dollars we've won or lost. So if we're trading across, let's just say, for example, that we're trading, I'm just going to clean up this workspace a little bit here. Let's just say that we're trading the euro pound cross. Now when we do this, we're trading pounds for euros and euros for pounds. So our profit and loss is going to be given to us in terms of the quote currency. So the first currency listed is the base currency. The second is the quote currency. So we're going to get our P&L in terms of Great British pounds, which is not very useful to us. So what we need to do, the NinjaTrader platform needs to be receiving data for another pair that pairs the base currency of the cross with the US dollar. That way, it has the conversion rate from the quote currency to the base currency and from the base currency to the account currency, and it can do all the math it needs to do under the hood to tell you what your actual P&L is in terms of your account currency, which is not involved in this scenario at all because we're trading across. So to make that a little more concrete, if we're looking at the euro pound here, the euro is the base currency, we'll need to be receiving live data for the euro dollar. Pairs the base currency with the US dollar. Let's say, for example, we're looking at a different cross, the pound yen. We're looking at Great British Pound, JPY. Now, the pound is the base currency. We'll need to be receiving live data for the pound dollar. So the base currency paired with the US dollar. So we can be receiving this data anywhere in the platform. We could have it open in another chart. We could have a chart open with 8 panels with different instruments on it. We could have it pulled up here in the control center, have it in an FX Pro window, multiple FX Pro windows, totally up to you. But I'm going to show you a trick that I find works best for me because it's kind of a set it and forget it thing, and it doesn't bloat your workspace. So we're going to use a market analyzer to do this little trick. So I'm going to click File, New, and then Market Analyzer. Market Analyzer, at its most basic level, is like a quote sheet, but it can do so much more than that, like showing indicator values, triggering alerts, allowing you to scan and filter for stocks that meet certain indicator criteria. It's really great. But for our purposes, we're just going to use it as a real-time quote sheet. So in the Market Analyzer, I can type in as many instruments as I'd like. So we're trading pound yen, so we need data for pound dollar, so let's put in pound dollar here. This is another instance where we didn't need to use the dollar sign up front. It put it on there for us. We were also looking at the euro pound, so we'll need the euro dollar. And we can put in as many of these as we'd like. We can put in as many instruments as we'd like in the Market Analyzer. This is a really great tool. If you're interested in having efficient and lightweight, small footprint type of workspaces, I highly recommend checking out the Market Analyzer because it can do some really neat things like window linking, etc. And we've got events on that as well, and lots of great information in our help guide. Go ahead and paste a link to the help guide here. I don't think I've done that yet. Here's a link to our online help guide where you can find information on everything that we're talking about today and so much more. Okay, so now we've done this. The great thing about this is we can just minimize this guy. It's not in our way. It's not taking up screen space. It's not using a bunch of processor resources. So we can just minimize the Market Analyzer. And now we're receiving all the data that we need to get proper P&L for these two crosses we're trading. In my experience, when I talk to cross traders, they generally trade all crosses. They trade like 8 to 10 of them. So using the Market Analyzer would be a great tool to get around that when you're trading a bunch of crosses. All right, so let's put the last quiz of the day in the room real quick. I want to throw you a quiz in the room about the topic that we just discussed. Just bear with me just one moment here. All right, here we go. The question this time, when trading Forex crosses, you will need to be receiving data for a quote with the crosses what? Multiple choice. Let me know what you think about that one really quick. And again, feel free to put any questions into the room if you have them. Okay, looks like once again we're split 50-50. We've got about half the room that says number 1 and about half the room that says number 2. So the correct answer on this one is number 1. When we trade Forex crosses, we need to be receiving data for a quote with the cross's base currency, that's the first one, paired with the US dollar. So thank you guys very much for participating there. And that's the final quiz of the day. But again, if you have any questions for me, feel free to put them in the room anytime. All right, so let's transition to our last segment here, which is my favorite of the day. I want to talk about the way that NinjaTrader takes the spread into account automatically, and how this is one of the big things for me as a Forex trader that really sold me on the platform and made me have one of those aha moments where I just didn't want to go back to my old platform again. So when I used to trade Forex, before I discovered NinjaTrader, I used to use other popular platforms, and they did not take the spread into account. I had to keep the spread in my mind at all times. So just as an illustration, I'd be scalping. I'd be looking to gain 1 pip on the trade, right? I'd be scalping in a market with a 2 pip spread, let's say. I'd enter. A minute would go by, the price would go up, the platform would tell me I'd gained 1 pip, so I'd say, yeah, that's great, that was my goal, close it out, celebrate. And I thought that I had booked a pip, only to find out later that I actually lost 2 pips on that trade. How could that be? Well, because there was a 3 pip spread, which means I had to overcome that spread before I could be profitable. So if I enter in a 3 pip spread market, my trade has to go up 4 pips before I can book 1 pip of profit. So in that scenario, I had to keep the spread in my mind the whole time and look at it and say, okay, this platform says I'm 1 pip up. I entered with a 3 pip spread, which means I need to be 4 pips up before I can book 1 pip. You know, it's just extra information to keep in your mind that is distracting from what matters most, what really matters, which is designing profitable trades, right? Making profitable snap decisions. One of the design philosophies of NinjaTrader is to make it in such a way that you don't have to wrestle with your platform all day. You can focus on your decisions because that's what's critical, right, to your success. So imagine my elation when I discovered NinjaTrader. Let's see what NinjaTrader does here. Okay, let's go back to the dollar yen. And this is currently a 3 pip spread in this market. We can see the ask and the bid here. So if I enter market, we should see our trade at a 3 pip loss immediately. And that's exactly where we are. You might think intuitively that's a bad thing, but it's actually a great thing that we see that. That's just the way that Forex works. It's never going to be any different. You're always going to be at a loss immediately when you enter a trade. That's just how it happens. Because, like I said, and you can see this here at the end of the chart, you can see the bid. These bars are painting the bid, and we placed a buy order, so we were filled at the ask. So here's where the current bid is. Here's where we were filled. That's why this has to go up 3 pips before we can be profitable, because when we get out of this with a sell, we're going to sell at the bid. So what's really great about this is now we can just relax and trust that the platform is telling us our true P&L. So when NinjaTrader tells you you're at 1 pip in profit, in this scenario, it means the trade has gone up 4 pips to actually put you at 1 pip of real profit. Barring any kind of commission or other trading costs that you have to take into account. So that's really cool. That's something that really, really excites me about trading Forex in NinjaTrader. Is just in so many ways, I can not have to worry about what the platform is doing and just focus on my trading. So that's what I love about it. That's pretty much all that we've got for you today. Trading Forex. We covered the basic terms, went over the FX Pro. We went, let's see, we went over the nuances of trading Forex. So I'm going to go ahead and leave the room open for a couple minutes. If you have any questions, feel free to paste them into the room at any time. We've got a question in the room now. How do I access a chart? So to open a chart or any window really in NinjaTrader, you're going to do it from the File, New menu. So click File from the Control Center and then New. To open a chart, you'll just click the Chart button here. First thing that will pop up is called the Data Series window. This is where you can select which instrument you'd like to add. So what we're seeing here are my instrument lists, the things I've populated in my lists. But I could also just put in a symbol, let's say like Apple or something if I was trading stocks, or euro, dollar. I could type that into the top and just press enter. Or I can click this little ellipse button and search for an instrument to add. Let's say I want to look at let's just say 6E. Let's just get a little crazy and do Forex futures. Then I'll just click OK. One quick thing, though, when you're in the data series window, you also have an opportunity to change a lot of settings here, such as your interval, the chart type, the bar type, the amount of days to load on your chart. So if you're not familiar with charts, I recommend taking a look at each of these settings. And we also have really great webinar events on charting specifically, so I highly recommend you join us for those as well, because it gets you up and running really quickly. All right, before we go, I'm going to go ahead and close out the platform by clicking File, Exit, and it asks me if I'd like to save my workspace. I'm going to say no. The reason I'm going to say no is because I want my workspace to open tomorrow the same way it opened today. So really, the way you have to interpret this question is, do you like the way your workspace opened up today? If you do, well, actually, I shouldn't say that because the answer would be reversed. Forget what I just said. So basically, if you like the way that it opened, you don't want to save it, because if you save it, it'll save any changes that you happen to make. So I didn't make any changes that I want to keep. I want it to open up the same way every time, so I'm just going to go ahead and click no every single time I exit the platform. That way no changes are saved and it comes back up just the way I expect it to each time. Okay guys, well that's about it for today. Doesn't look like we have too many questions going on. Maybe one more coming into the room. You are very welcome. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you all again in the future. Our next event is Charting 101 on Tuesdays at noon. And don't forget to join me here in the same place at, I believe it's 5:30 Eastern, could be 6 Eastern. You'll have to check on the webinar schedule for the first ATM event. All right, I bid you guys adieu. I wish you the best of luck in this shortened holiday week, and happy trading. Have a great evening.